What is up, guys? TJ here with the MMA Jackal, where we talk all things mixed martial arts and combat sports related. So today I want to continue on down the road to UFC 300 and talk the main event here. We have Alex Pereira going against Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill for the light heavyweight title. Maybe this isn't the main event we were all imagining 9 months ago when we were thinking about what fight is going to headline UFC 300. I'm sure most of us were hoping for a John Jones return or a Conor McGregor, whatever. Whatever it was you were thinking, I can almost guarantee it wasn't Alex Pereira against Jamal Hill. Not too many people saw that coming. All that being said, this is still an amazing fight. I mean, it's an amazing fight to cap off arguably one of the greatest cards of all time. And I'm more than happy to break it down here, so we'll get right into it. Tail of the tape, Poatan. He's a slight favorite at minus 150. 36 years old, which could play into it. 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. Sweet Dreams, slight underdog at plus 125. 32 years old. 6'4", 79-inch reach. Size-wise, these guys are very similar. Now, when Alex first got into the UFC, 3 fights into it, he got a title shot. But he was a very imposing figure. He was huge at 185. I couldn't believe it. Izzy isn't exactly a small 185er, and it seemed like Poatan had a sizable advantage in size, as you can say. And that's just not the case here with Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's been in there with Pereira's mentor in Glover Teixeira, who's, another huge guy. It's just the size of Poatan isn't going to be a factor like it was in some of his other fights. So, as I said, 3 fights into his career, Poatan gets the title shot. He was brought in, touted as the guy who is going to dethrone the champ in Izzy. And Adesanya is a rather polarizing figure in the sport. You either love him or hate him. And the guys who hated him were more than happy to get behind Pereira and become fans of him when he did, in fact, dethrone the champ. With only having a short time in MMA, specifically the UFC, which is the only organization he's fought in, he's really become a fan favorite. Even with the language barrier, you can tell his personality kind of shines through. He's outgoing, he's funny, fans have just really got behind him. Hill, on the other hand, was rather unknown, kind of got his title shot out of nowhere, and he fought Alex Pereira's best friend, mentor and training partner in Glover Teixeira, and completely pieced him up. Now, Glover was 40 years old. He was certainly, on the other side of the hill, on the downside of the hill, however you want to say it. Jamal Hill was 31 at the time, but he put on a clinic. He won by decision, but it wasn't even close. Clear unanimous decision win. He is the rightful champion. Since then, Jamal Hill got hurt, which we'll talk about later, and he relinquished his title. So he never technically lost the strap. He gave it up, following in the footsteps of Yuri Prochazka, who was the champion before him, also got hurt and relinquished the title, which I respect. He doesn't have to do it. Certainly they can. The UFC has dealt with it before, where they have these interim title fights and whatever, and then when he comes back, he gets an automatic title shot. He didn't do all that. He did the right thing and kept the division moving along. As I'm recording this video, we're 5 days away from UFC 300, and this is our main event. I am a Pereira fan, and what I would like to see, I would want Pereira to win and kind of ride off into the sunset. I know the UFC doesn't want that, but he beat Izzy, his arch nemesis in kickboxing. He follows him to MMA. He beats him there. I mean, again, Izzy did get that win back, but then he moves up a weight class, gets another shot at the title, and becomes champion, 2-division weight class champion, all the accolades he has in kickboxing. Call it a career, right? He's 36 years old. I mean, he's on the other side of 35, which seems to be like, the dividing line between the prime age of a champion and, the other side of the hill. If that happens, we will see. Keys to the fight with this one. We all know Poatan has a touch of death. All he has to do is hit you once with his left hand, and the fight's over. That's all he has to do. He has amazing leg kicks. He disguises them very well. He doesn't telegraph anything. The next thing you know, boom, he lands another leg kick. He doesn't throw them full force like a Justin Gaethje per se, but he lands them over and over and over, and they absolutely become a factor in the fight. Next thing you know, you're thinking like, oh, geez, I can't let this guy hit me in the leg again, and boom, he lands the bomb. Like I said, he only needs one. Technically, he's not the most technical striker. The way he stands, it's very kickboxing style. He doesn't have a lot of head movement like a Western boxer. He stands rather straight up in the air, doesn't move his head. He'll throw the teep kick as kind of like a range gauge, a feeler, and he's just feeling you out, getting you to throw so he can come over with the left hook and end the night. He's not like Sean O'Malley or even Adesanya, who's like constantly moving, constantly using this like awesome footwork, moving all around the octagon, uses the whole cage. That's really not Poatan. He stands right in front of you, dares you to come into range. Sooner or later, you're going to have to, and he's betting that you're not going to be able to withstand that left hook he's about to throw. And it's certainly worked for him up to this point. He's one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. He's writing his legacy in MMA, and you can critique his, technicality in striking, the way he doesn't move his head. He kind of has a lack of creativity, but he gets the job done. Jamal Hill, on the other hand, I think he needs to mix it up. Recently, just today, I heard in an interview, he said, this is going to be a stand-up fight. He's going to beat Pereira on the feet. Who knows if that's the case? Personally, I think he should mix the takedowns in. With Alex Pereira's fight with Adesanya was shooting some takedowns and certainly looked better on the ground. Now, Adesanya is no grappler. That being said, I think Hill should take advantage of that, give Pereira something else to think about, and mix some takedowns in there. I mean, the goal is to win the fight. The goal isn't to be the better striker. I think if he's smart, that's something he's just saying, hoping Pereira hears it maybe and, kind of thinks, I don't have to worry about the takedowns as much. And the next thing you know, he gets him up against the cage, gets a body lock and drags him to the ground and gets on his back. But Hill's a great striker in himself. Very powerful. We've seen in his last few fights, he can knock you out. Pereira has been knocked out, and Jamal hasn't. That's also a factor. Pereira Izzy absolutely shut his lights out. And you only get so many of those, and Hill doesn't have that to worry about as much, brain damage per se. One thing Hill does have to worry about is his ruptured Achilles. 9 months ago, he was playing basketball and completely tore his Achilles. Now, this is an injury that professional American football players commonly get. Basketball players get it. But when they do, it takes a year to recover from. And that's with all the peptides and whatever other Mexican supplements you want to throw in there to speed up the process. Jamal Hill's stepping into the cage 9 months out from that injury. Personally, I don't think he is 100% recovered. He says he is. He says it's not a factor. I'm not buying it. I think it is a factor. I think that he was presented this opportunity and couldn't say no. And I don't blame him for that, not one bit. But I don't think he's 100%. Because of that, I'm going to pick Pereira. I think if Jamal is at 100%, he has a full camp where he can practice, mixing it up, mixing in his takedowns. That being the case, I would have picked Jamal Hill in this fight. But I don't think he's 100%. I don't think he could have the training camp that he should have coming into it. Because of that, like I said, I'm going to go Alex Pereira. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your pick is for the fight. If there's something about this matchup that I missed that you want to talk about, drop it in the comments. Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, go Bills.